In the year 2147, humanity had reached far beyond Earth. Spaceships traveled across the stars, and colonies thrived on distant moons. But despite all their progress, humans were still alone in the universe, or so they thought. On a quiet day aboard the research station, Astraea, orbiting near Neptune, something unusual happened. A faint signal was detected coming from deep space. It wasn't random noise or cosmic radiation. It was rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. The scientists at the station stared at their screens in disbelief. Could this be evidence of intelligent life, or was it just another trick of the cosmos? Commander Elena Voss stood at the center of the control room, her sharp eyes scanning the data pouring in. She was known for her calm demeanor and quick thinking, traits that had earned her command of the exploration vessel Eos. When she heard about the mysterious signal, she felt a strange pull, a feeling she couldn't explain but couldn't ignore either. "This isn't natural," said Dr. Arjun Patel, one of the lead cynobiologists. His voice broke through the hum of equipment as he pointed to the readings on his tablet. "Look at these patterns. They're too precise to be random." "Could it be an asteroid?" asked Lieutenant Marcus Hale, the ship's skeptical second-in-command. He crossed his arms, leaning against the wall. "Maybe some mineral formation causing interference." "No," replied Elena firmly. "This is deliberate. Someone, or something, is sending us a message." The decision was made quickly. The EOs would investigate. Within hours, the sleek silver ship detached from the station and began its journey into the unknown. As it sailed through the vast emptiness of space, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that this mission was more than just science. Something bigger awaited them. After weeks of travel, the EOs arrived at the source of the signal, a planet hidden behind swirling clouds of gas and dust. From orbit, it looked unremarkable. Greenish-brown landmasses, dotted with shimmering lakes under twin suns. But when they scanned the surface, they found structures buried beneath thick vegetation. Ruins, ancient buildings half swallowed by time. "It's not human," murmured Dr. Patel, his voice tinged with awe. "But whoever built this, they were advanced." Elena ordered a landing party to explore. As the team descended in their shuttle, the air grew heavy with anticipation. What if this was proof of alien life? What if they weren't alone anymore? When they touched down, the first thing they noticed was the silence. No wind, no animals, nothing moved except for the glowing leaves of nearby trees. The ruins loomed ahead, covered in moss and vines. Strange symbols etched into stone walls caught their attention, but what truly stopped them in their tracks was the sound. A low hum filled the air, growing louder as they approached a cluster of crystalline devices embedded in the ground. The signal originated here. Each crystal pulsed faintly, synchronized like a chorus. And then, out of nowhere, the humming changed. It became melodic, almost musical. "What's doing that?" whispered Sophia Rice, the ship's engineer, as she adjusted her scanner. Her device picked up faint energy readings, but nothing living. Before anyone could answer, there was movement. Something small shifted beneath a patch of moss nearby. Slowly, carefully, Dr. Patel knelt down and brushed the moss aside. There, lying weak and fragile, was a creature unlike anything they'd ever seen. It had translucent skin that shimmered softly, revealing intricate patterns of light inside its body. Its large, glassy eyes blinked slowly, meeting theirs. For a moment, everyone froze. Then, the creature let out a soft tone, a single note that resonated through the air. Whatever it was alive, and it wanted to communicate. This opening sets up intrigue, introduces key characters, and establishes the central mystery, while keeping the language simple and engaging. "Let me know if you'd like adjustments." The creature lay still beneath the moss, its fragile body glowing faintly in the dim light. The team from the EOs stood frozen, unsure of what to do next. Dr. Arjun Patel was the first to move. He knelt beside the alien, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. "It's alive," he whispered, his voice trembling. "But it's so weak." Commander Elena Voss stepped forward, her eyes scanning the area cautiously. "Be careful, Doctor. We don't know if this is safe." Arjun nodded but didn't hesitate. He reached out slowly, extending a gloved hand toward the creature. As his fingers brushed against its translucent skin, it let out another soft tone, a sound that seemed almost musical. The others flinched at the noise, but it wasn't threatening. Instead, it felt welcoming. Sophia Rice adjusted her scanner, trying to make sense of the readings. "It's emitting some kind of energy signature," she said. "Not harmful, but definitely unusual." Lieutenant Marcus Hale, ever the skeptic, crossed his arms. "What are we even looking at? Is this thing responsible for the signal?" Before anyone could answer, the creature shifted slightly. Its large, glassy eyes blinked again, locking onto Arjun's face. Then, without warning, it emitted a series of tones, low and rhythmic, like a melody. The crystals nearby began to pulse in sync with the sounds. "Is it communicating?" Sophia asked, her brow furrowed. "I think so," Arjun replied, his voice filled with wonder. "This might be their way of speaking." Elena stepped closer, her expression thoughtful. "If that's true, then we need to figure out what it's saying. But more importantly, why is it here alone?" As they examined the creature, they noticed how frail it looked. Its shimmering patterns were fading, as if its energy was running out. Whatever it wasn't doing well. Arjun gently placed a portable medical device near it, hoping to stabilize it. To everyone's surprise, the creature responded by letting out a softer tone, almost like gratitude. While Arjun worked, the rest of the team explored the ruins around them. The structures were massive, built from smooth stone etched with intricate carvings. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing faintly in the same way the creature did. It was clear this place had once been home to an advanced civilization. "This must have been their city," Elena said as she ran her hand over one of the carvings. "But where is everyone else?" "There's no sign of other life," Marcus muttered, his tone skeptical. "Maybe whoever lived here left, or died off." His words hung heavy in the air. If this creature was the last of its kind, then humanity had stumbled upon something both incredible and tragic. Back near the creature, Arjun managed to record several of its melodic tones. Using basic translation algorithms, he pieced together fragments of meaning. The tones weren't just random sounds. They'd formed words in a language unlike any spoken on Earth. "It's introducing itself," Arjun announced, his voice full of awe. "Its name is Kale." "Cal," Elena repeated, kneeling beside the creature. She spoke softly, mimicking the tone it had used earlier. "Kale, can you understand us?" To their amazement, the creature responded with another series of tones. This time, the translation program picked up something new. "Help." The word sent a chill through the group. Kale wasn't just communicating, it was asking for assistance. "What does it need help with?" Sophia asked, her curiosity outweighing her caution. Arjun shook his head. "I'm not sure yet, but whatever it is, it's important." Elena stood up, her mind racing. They had come to investigate a signal, and now they'd found something far greater. An alien being in desperate need. Her instincts told her this was only the beginning. "We'll set up camp here," she decided. "We're not leaving until we figure out what Kel wants, and why this place feels so abandoned." As night fell, the glowing leaves of the forest cast eerie shadows over the ruins. The hum of the crystals grew quieter, almost mournful. Somewhere deep within those ancient stones, secrets waited to be uncovered. And Kale, the lone survivor, held the key to unlocking them all. This part builds tension and mystery while introducing the alien Kel and hinting at the larger story ahead. Let me know if you'd like tweaks or additions. The camp was set up quickly under the glowing canopy of Erythria's forest. The team worked silently, each lost in their thoughts about Kale and the ruins surrounding them. Dr. Arjun Patel stayed close to the fragile creature, monitoring its condition, while trying to decode more of its melodic tones. Every note it emitted seemed deliberate, carrying layers of meaning that were just out of reach. Cal's energy levels continued to fluctuate, but it remained calm, watching the humans with an almost curious gaze. Its large, luminous eyes followed their movements as if studying them as much as they studied it. Occasionally, it would let out a soft tone, causing the nearby crystals to pulse faintly in response. It was clear that Kale and these devices were connected somehow. "This thing is incredible," Arjun murmured, adjusting the portable medical scanner. "Its body isn't like anything we've seen before. It's part organic, part something else." Sophia Reyes crouched beside him, her engineering expertise kicking in. "Those patterns inside its body, they look like circuits. Maybe it uses sound or vibrations to interact with technology." Commander Elena Voss approached, her face serious but tinged with wonder. "Can you figure out what it's saying? Or at least understand why it asked for help?" Arjun hesitated. "It's complicated. The tones are layered, like chords in music. Each one seems to carry multiple meanings, but I think I'm starting to get fragments." He played back one of the recordings through the translation program. After a moment, fragmented words appeared on the screen. "Lost, alone, fading." Elena frowned. "Fading? Does that mean it's dying?" "Possibly," Arjun admitted. "But there's more. Listen." He replayed another sequence of tones, and this time, the program translated. "Home, gone." Kale shifted slightly, letting out a longer, sadder tone. The crystals around them dimmed momentarily, as if mirroring its sorrow. For a brief moment, everyone felt the weight of its loneliness, an emotion so raw and universal that it transcended species. "We need to learn more," Elena said firmly. "If this planet was once home to others like Kale, then we have to find out what happened to them." Lieutenant Marcus Hale stood nearby, arms crossed and expression skeptical. "You really think we should waste time helping some alien when we don't even know if it's safe? What if this is a trap?" "It's not a trap," Sophia countered sharply. "Look at it. It's barely alive. If anything, it needs us." Before Marcus could argue further, Kale surprised everyone by emitting a new series of tones. This time, the translation came clearer than ever. "Show. Truth." "What truth?" Elena asked, crouching near Kale. She spoke slowly, mimicking its melodic rhythm. "What do you want us to see?" In response, Kale lifted one delicate limb and pointed toward the ruins. Its gesture was unmistakable. It wanted them to follow. "Okay then," Elena said, standing up. "Let's go where it's pointing. Whatever answers we're looking for, they're probably over there." The team packed up their equipment and began walking deeper into the ruins, guided by Cal's occasional tones. As they moved, the carvings on the walls became more intricate, depicting scenes of a thriving civilization. There were images of beings resembling Cal, tall, graceful, and shimmering with light, working together, building structures, and tending to glowing plants. But as they ventured further, the murals changed. Bright colors gave way to darker shades. The once harmonious figures now appeared chaotic, surrounded by cracks and destruction. In the final panel, the creatures were gone, leaving behind only empty cities and crumbling towers. "This doesn't look good," Marcus muttered, his skepticism replaced by unease. "They must have faced some kind of disaster," Arjun said quietly. "Something that wiped them out." Kale stopped suddenly, letting out a mournful tone. It pointed to a massive stone door ahead, sealed shut with strange symbols etched into its surface. The air grew heavier, charged with an unspoken significance. "This is it," Elena said, her voice steady despite the tension. "Whatever happened to Cal's people, the answers are behind that door." As they prepared to open it, none of them realized how deeply the truth would change everything, for both Cal and humanity itself. This section deepens the connection between the characters and Cal while introducing visual storytelling through the murals. Let me know if you'd like adjustments. The massive stone door loomed before them, its surface covered in intricate carvings that seemed to shimmer faintly under the glow of their lights. The symbols etched into the metal-like material were unlike anything humanity had ever seen, fluid, organic shapes that pulsed with a dim inner light. It felt alive, as though it were waiting for something, or someone, to awaken it. "This is it," Commander Elena Voss said, her voice steady but tinged with awe. "Whatever destroyed Cal's people, the truth is behind this door." Cal stood nearby, its frail body trembling slightly. Its glowing patterns flickered weakly, and it let out a series of tones that resonated through the air. The crystals scattered around the ruins began to hum in response, their pulsing rhythm growing louder and more urgent. Dr. Arjun Patel studied the symbols carefully, his brow furrowed in concentration. These markings, they're not just decorative. They might be instructions or warnings. Lieutenant Marcus Hale stepped forward, his skepticism returning. Or traps. We don't know what's on the other side. For all we know, opening this thing could unleash whatever wiped out Cal's civilization. Then why would Cal lead us here? Sophia Reyes countered sharply. She adjusted her scanner, trying to analyze the energy emanating from the door. If it wanted to harm us, it could have done so already. This feels important. Elena nodded, her decision firm. We came here to uncover the truth. If we turn back now, we'll never understand what happened. And Cal deserves answers as much as we do. With careful precision, Sophia and Arjun worked together to decipher the symbols. Using fragments of Cal's language and their knowledge of alien technology, they identified a sequence of tones that matched the patterns on the door. When they played the recorded tones through a portable speaker, the door reacted instantly. The shimmering symbols brightened, and the ground beneath them vibrated softly. With a low groan, the massive slab began to slide open. A rush of cool air escaped from within, carrying with it a faint scent of earth and metal. As the dust settled, the team peered inside. The chamber beyond was vast, illuminated by glowing plants hanging from the ceiling like luminous chandeliers. At the center of the room stood a towering structure, a crystalline obelisk pulsating with a soft, rhythmic glow. Surrounding it were holographic projections suspended in midair, depicting scenes of Cal's people at various stages of their history. This is incredible," Arjun whispered, stepping closer to examine the projections. "It's like a record of their entire civilization." The first images showed prosperity, a society thriving with advanced technology and lush landscapes. Beings resembling Cal moved gracefully among glowing cities, working together in harmony. But as the timeline progressed, the tone shifted. The once vibrant scenes grew darker, showing signs of conflict and environmental decay. In one projection, a massive explosion consumed an entire city, leaving only ash behind. "What happened to them?" Elena asked, her voice heavy with emotion. Cal approached the obelisk, its melodic tones filling the chamber. The holograms changed, showing a final devastating event, a cataclysmic experiment gone wrong. A device designed to harness energy from their planet's core had malfunctioned, draining Erythrea of its life force. The survivors retreated underground, relying on ancient machines to sustain themselves until even those failed. "They destroyed themselves," Marcus muttered grimly. "Their own hubris wiped them out." Arjun shook his head. "Not entirely. Look." He pointed to the final projection, which showed a group of beings placing glowing seeds into capsules buried deep within the planet. They tried to preserve their legacy. These seeds, they must contain genetic memory, a way to pass on their essence. Cal let out a long, mournful tone, its body glowing brighter for a moment. The message was clear. It was one of those seeds, brought back to life after centuries of dormancy. And now, with its people gone, it carried the weight of an entire race's hopes and failures. "We can't let their story end here," Elena said firmly, turning to face her team. "If there's any way to help Cal and honor its people, we need to find it." As they stood amidst the echoes of extinction, the team realized the enormity of their mission. They weren't just explorers anymore. They were guardians of a forgotten legacy. This section reveals the tragic history of Cal's people while deepening the emotional stakes for both the characters and readers. Let me know if you'd like changes. The chamber fell silent after Cal's mournful tone faded into the air. The weight of the Luminaris tragedy hung heavy over the team, their faces reflecting a mix of sorrow and determination. But as they processed what they had learned, cracks began to form in their unity. Commander Elena Voss stood near the glowing obelisk, her mind racing. "We can't leave Cal here to fade away," she said firmly. "There has to be something we can do, some way to stabilize its energy or repair whatever system kept it alive." Lieutenant Marcus Hale crossed his arms, his skepticism boiling over. "And how exactly are we supposed to do that? We're millions of miles from Earth with limited resources. This isn't our problem, Commander." Elena turned to him sharply. "It is our problem. If we walk away, we're no better than whoever abandoned this place centuries ago." "It's not about walking away," Marcus shot back. "It's about priorities. Every second we spend helping Cal is a second we're risking our own safety and potentially Earth's future missions. Do you really think humanity will benefit from saving one alien?" Sophia Reyes stepped forward, her voice firm but calm. "Actually, yes. Think about it. If we help Cal, we might unlock technology far beyond anything we've seen. That could change everything for us, for all species." Marcus snorted. "Or it could get us killed. You're forgetting that this entire planet is unstable because of their failed experiment. What if trying to fix things makes it worse?" Dr. Arjun Patel, who had been quietly observing the argument, finally spoke up. "Cal hasn't given us any reason to distrust it. It led us here because it trusted us to help. Turning our backs now would betray that trust." "And what happens when we run out of supplies?" Marcus demanded. "When the EOS breaks down because we've wasted too much time, who pays for your compassion then?" The tension in the room was palpable. Elena clenched her fists, struggling to keep her emotions in check. She knew Marcus wasn't entirely wrong. They were stretched thin, and every decision carried risks. But abandoning Cal felt unthinkable. Before she could respond, Cal intervened. With a soft hum, it emitted a series of tones that resonated through the chamber. The crystals around them pulsed brighter, and suddenly, the team felt something. Not words, but emotions. Waves of grief, hope, longing, and gratitude washed over them, overwhelming their senses. Elena closed her eyes, tears welling up as she experienced the depth of Cal's pain. For centuries, it had waited alone in the ruins of its world, clinging to the faintest spark of life. Now, faced with the possibility of connection and salvation, it was reaching out in desperation. When the emotions subsided, the room was silent. Even Marcus looked shaken, his usual defiance softened by what he'd felt. "That," Sophia started, her voice trembling. "That was incredible. I've never experienced anything like it." Arjun nodded, his expression filled with resolve. "It's sharing its story, not just with words, but with feelings. How can we ignore that?" Marcus hesitated, glancing at Cal. The creature's glow had dimmed further, its fragile body trembling. For the first time, he seemed unsure of himself. Elena seized the moment. "This isn't just about Cal anymore. It's about who we are, as humans. Are we explorers who turn away when things get hard? Or are we builders, people who find solutions even when the odds are against us?" Her words struck a chord. Slowly, Marcus uncrossed his arms. "Fine," he muttered reluctantly. "But if this goes south, don't say I didn't warn you." With the team united, at least temporarily, they refocused on the task ahead. Sophia approached the obelisk, studying its pulsating core. "If we can figure out how this thing works, maybe we can use it to stabilize Cal's energy. But we'll need parts from the EOS." Elena nodded. "Then let's move quickly. Time isn't on our side." As they prepared to leave the chamber, Kale let out another tone, a single clear note that echoed through the ruins. It sounded almost like gratitude. Whatever happened next, the team knew they were making the right choice, even if the cost was still unknown. This section explores conflict within the group while using Cal's unique ability to sway opinions, adding emotional depth and keeping readers engaged. Let me know if you'd like adjustments. The journey back to the surface was tense but focused. The team moved quickly through the ruins, their minds racing with plans and possibilities. Kale led the way, its faint glow guiding them through the dimly lit corridors. Though it seemed weaker than before, its determination was evident in every step, or glide, it took. As they emerged into the glowing forest, Commander Elena Voss addressed her crew. We need to prioritize what we take from the EOs. Sophia, you'll handle the energy stabilizers. Marcus, gather tools that might interface with alien tech. Arjun, document everything we've seen so far. It could save us time later. Marcus nodded reluctantly, still uneasy about the mission but unwilling to argue further. Sophia adjusted her scanner, already brainstorming ways to adapt human technology for Cal's needs. If we can create a bridge between the obelisk and Cal's energy patterns, she said, we might be able to sustain it, at least temporarily. Cal emitted a soft tone, as if understanding their efforts. Its melodic sounds grew slightly brighter when Sophia mentioned the obelisk, confirming their theory that it was central to its survival. Back at the shuttle, they loaded up supplies and prepared to return to the EOs. As they ascended into orbit, the lush green planet below felt both beautiful and haunting, a testament to the brilliance and fragility of the Luminaris civilization. On board the EOs, the mood shifted from urgency to collaboration. Sophia worked tirelessly in the engineering bay, dismantling key components while sketching designs for an improvised stabilizer. Meanwhile, Arjun reviewed footage of the ruins, analyzing the symbols and holograms for clues about how the Luminaris had harnessed energy. Elena joined him briefly, watching the recordings play on a monitor. Do you think we're doing the right thing? She asked quietly, risking so much for one being. Arjun didn't hesitate. Absolutely. Kale isn't just one being. It's the last link to an entire race. If we succeed, we honor their legacy. If we fail, he trailed off, his voice heavy with unspoken consequences. Hours passed as the crew prepared for their next descent. When everything was ready, they returned to Erythrea, this time heading deeper into the labyrinth beneath the ruins. Guided by Kale, they ventured into unexplored tunnels carved into the bedrock. The air grew colder, and the walls shimmered faintly with veins of crystal-like material. These crystals must have been part of their power grid, Sophia observed, running her fingers over the glowing surfaces. They're still active, even after all these years. Not for long, Marcus muttered, pointing to cracks forming along some of the larger veins. This whole system is falling apart. Despite the looming instability, Kale pressed onward, leading them toward a massive chamber hidden deep underground. Inside, they found another obelisk, smaller than the first, but pulsating with a stronger light. Surrounding it were murals depicting the final days of the Luminaris, showing scientists working frantically to preserve their world. This must have been their backup plan, Arjun said, his voice filled with awe. A fail-safe to keep their energy network alive. Sophia knelt beside the obelisk, her scanner buzzing excitedly. It's compatible with the stabilizer I built. If we connect them, we might be able to channel enough energy to sustain Kale. But as she began setting up the equipment, the ground trembled violently. Dust rained down from the ceiling, and distant rumbling echoed through the tunnels. What was that? Marcus demanded, gripping a nearby wall for balance. It's the system collapsing, Sophia shouted, her hands moving faster. We don't have much time. Kale let out a series of urgent tones, its glow flickering erratically. It positioned itself near the obelisk, clearly signaling that they needed to hurry. Stay focused, Elena commanded, her voice cutting through the chaos. We finish this, or none of us leaves here alive. With seconds ticking away, the team worked together like never before, driven by desperation and hope. This section builds suspense and showcases teamwork under pressure while hinting at the stakes ahead. Let me know if you'd like tweaks. The tremors grew stronger, shaking loose rocks and debris from the ceiling. The air was thick with dust, making it hard to breathe. Yet, the team pressed on, their focus unshaken despite the chaos around them. Sophia's eyes worked furiously at the base of the smaller obelisk, her hand steady even as sweat dripped down her face. The stabilizer she had built from parts of the EOS hummed softly, its circuits glowing faintly as she connected it to the alien structure. "This is going to take too long," Marcus Hale shouted over the rumbling. "We're running out of time." "Then help me instead of complaining," Sophia snapped back, her voice sharp but controlled. She gestured toward a panel of crystals embedded in the wall. "Get those aligned with the stabilizer. They're amplifiers." Marcus hesitated for a split second before rushing to comply. He wasn't an engineer, but he understood enough to follow orders when lives were on the line. As he adjusted the crystals, their glow intensified, feeding energy into the stabilizer. Kale hovered nearby, its translucent body flickering weakly. It let out a series of tones, urgent yet melodic, that seemed to guide Sophia's movements. Each note resonated through the chamber, sensing with the obelisk's pulsations. For a moment, it felt like Kale itself was part of the machinery, working alongside them. Commander Elena Voss stood watch, her eyes scanning the crumbling walls. "How much longer?" she asked, her tone tight with urgency. "Almost there," Sophia replied, her fingers flying across the stabilizer's controls. "Just need to calibrate the frequency." Suddenly, another violent quake rocked the chamber. A large chunk of the ceiling broke free and crashed to the ground mere feet away from Arjun Patel, who stumbled backward with a startled gasp. Kale emitted a high-pitched tone, its glow flaring briefly as if reacting to the danger. "We can't stay here," Marcus yelled, panic creeping into his voice. "We don't have a choice," Elena shot back. "If we leave now, Kale dies, and maybe all of us with it." Arjun scrambled to his feet, clutching a tablet filled with data about the Luminara's energy systems. "Sophia, use this. Their frequency patterns are keyed to harmonic resonance. It might stabilize the connection faster." Sophia grabbed the tablet without hesitation, inputting the new information into the stabilizer. The device whirred louder, its lights flashing erratically as it struggled to sync with the obelisk. Then, with a sudden surge of power, the room lit up in a brilliant cascade of light. The trembling stopped abruptly, replaced by an eerie stillness. "It worked," Sophia whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. She turned to look at Kel, whose glow had steadied noticeably. Its once faint patterns now shimmered brightly, pulsating in harmony with the obelisk. But the victory was short-lived. Scans revealed that the stabilizer was only a temporary fix. Without additional resources, or a way to repair the nexus, the massive core in the ruins above, the system would collapse again within days. "We fought some time," Elena said, addressing the group. "But we'll need more than duct tape and spare parts to save Kale permanently." Kale let out a soft tone, almost like gratitude. It approached each member of the team, pausing briefly as if acknowledging their efforts. When it reached Elena, it projected a single word into her mind: hope. "What now?" Marcus asked, his earlier skepticism replaced by reluctant determination. "Do we risk dismantling the EOS further?" Elena met his gaze squarely. "If that's what it takes, then yes." Kale trusted us to find a solution. And so far, we haven't let it down. As they prepared to return to the surface, the weight of their next decision hung heavy in the air. They had saved Kale, for now. But the true challenge lay ahead, ensuring its survival without sacrificing their own. This section balances action and emotion, while setting up the stakes for the final stretch of the story. Let me know if you'd like adjustments. With the nexus stabilized and Kale's energy restored, something extraordinary began to happen. The glowing seeds scattered throughout the underground labyrinth, hidden in cracks, embedded in walls, and buried beneath layers of moss, started to stir. At first, it was subtle. A faint shimmer here, a soft hum there. But soon, the entire chamber came alive with movement. Sophia Rise watched in awe as one of the seeds near her feet cracked open, releasing a tendril of light that stretched toward the ceiling. What is this?" she whispered, stepping back instinctively. "It's life," Dr. Arjun Patel murmured, his voice filled with wonder. He knelt beside another seed, watching as it unfurled into a delicate bioluminescent plant. Its leaves pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. These aren't just plants. They're carriers of genetic memory, fragments of the luminaris essence. Kale glided closer, its melodic tones growing softer, almost soothing. It emitted a series of sounds that resonated through the chamber, causing the newly sprouted flora to glow brighter. The team realized Kale wasn't just reviving the seeds, it was communicating with them, sharing its knowledge and memories. "This is how they preserve their legacy," Commander Elena Voss said, her tone reverent. She reached out cautiously, touching one of the glowing tendrils. A wave of emotions washed over her: pride, sorrow, hope, all intertwined in a tapestry of experiences passed down through generations. Every seedling carries a piece of their story. Lieutenant Marcus Hale stood apart from the others, his usual skepticism replaced by quiet reflection. He had been against helping Kale from the start, but now, seeing the results of their efforts, he couldn't deny the significance of what they'd accomplished. These glowing plants weren't just remnants of a lost civilization. They were a rebirth. As more seeds awakened, the chamber transformed into a vibrant garden of light and sound. The air grew warmer, charged with an energy that felt both ancient and new. Sophia scanned the area, her device picking up readings unlike anything she'd ever encountered. This isn't just biological growth, it's technological too. These plants are generating power, stabilizing the environment around them. Arjun nodded, his eyes shining with excitement. It's like the luminaries designed their survival strategy to blend nature and technology. They knew their physical bodies might not endure, so they created something that could adapt and thrive without them. Elena turned to Kel, who floated serenely among the burgeoning flora. "You didn't just ask us for help. You gave us a gift. Your people's wisdom, their hopes, all of it will live on through these seedlings." Kale responded with a single, clear tone, a note that resonated deep within each of them. It sounded like gratitude, acceptance, and perhaps even peace. For the first time since they'd met, the creature seemed at ease, its glow steady and radiant. But as the team marveled at the transformation, Kale approached the Nexus once more. With a final, mournful tone, it merged itself with the crystalline core, its body dissolving into pure energy. The room pulsed brightly for a moment before settling into a calm, steady rhythm. "What just happened?" Marcus asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Kale sacrificed itself," Arjun replied softly. "Its energy will keep the Nexus stable, ensuring the seedlings continue to grow." Elena felt a pang of sadness, but also pride. Kale hadn't disappeared. It had become part of something greater, ensuring its people's legacy endured. She looked around at the glowing forest of light and life, knowing humanity had played a vital role in its awakening. "We'll protect this place," she vowed aloud, her words firm and resolute. For Kale and for the Luminaries, their story doesn't end here. The team left the labyrinth with heavy hearts but renewed purpose. Behind them, the seeds continued to bloom, spreading their light, and the spirit of a forgotten race, far beyond the ruins. This section emphasizes emotional closure while tying together themes of sacrifice, renewal, and legacy. Let me know if you'd like any tweaks. The journey back to the surface was quiet, each member of the team lost in their thoughts. The glowing labyrinth beneath the ruins had transformed into a living monument, not just to the luminaries, but to Kale's sacrifice and humanity's role in its preservation. As they emerged into the daylight, the forest around them seemed different somehow, brighter, more alive, as if it too carried echoes of the ancient civilization. Commander Elena Voss took a deep breath, her gaze fixed on the shimmering trees. "We did it," she said softly, though her tone carried both triumph and melancholy. "Cal trusted us, and we honored that trust." Lieutenant Marcus Hale nodded slowly, his earlier skepticism replaced by a newfound respect. "I didn't think we could pull this off," he admitted, his voice uncharacteristically vulnerable. "But maybe helping Cal wasn't such a bad idea after all." Sophia Reyes smiled faintly, adjusting her scanner one last time. "It's not just about what we gave Cal, it's about what we gained. Imagine how much we can learn from those seedlings, their technology, their way of life. It could change everything for us." Dr. Arjun Patel agreed, his eyes shining with excitement. "This is only the beginning. The Luminaries may be gone, but their legacy lives on through those plants, and through us." Before leaving Erythrea, the team planted a beacon near the entrance to the underground labyrinth. It would serve as a marker for future expeditions, ensuring that humanity returned to study and protect the site. But more importantly, it symbolized a promise, a commitment to honor the memory of the Luminaries and the bond forged between two species separated by millennia. As the EOs lifted off into orbit, Elena stood at the viewport, watching Erythrea shrink into the distance. Its twin suns cast golden light over the planet, making it look almost magical. She felt a strange mix of emotions: pride in what they'd accomplished, sorrow for Cal's sacrifice, and hope for the future. Back on Earth, news of the discovery spread quickly. Scientists and philosophers debated the implications of finding an extinct alien race and humanity's role in reviving part of their culture. Governments began drafting plans for further exploration of Erythrea, while environmentalists pointed to the Luminaries' downfall as a cautionary tale about hubris and sustainability. For Elena and her crew, however, the mission became something deeper than science or politics. They had witnessed the resilience of life, even in the face of extinction, and they had proven that compassion could bridge the vast distances, not just between stars, but between hearts. Years later, reports surfaced of glowing flora appearing on other planets, far beyond Erythrea's borders. Some believed these were descendants of the Luminaries seedlings, spreading across the galaxy like whispers of forgotten songs. Others saw it as proof that Cal's sacrifice had sparked a new chapter, not just for its people, but for all life. Elena often thought about Cal during those years. Though it was gone, she could still hear its melodic tones in her mind, reminding her of the importance of connection and responsibility. Humanity had once been alone in the universe, but now, thanks to Cal, they were stewards of a shared legacy. And somewhere, among the stars, the light of the Luminaries continued to shine, a testament to the enduring power of hope, renewal, and unity.